New York City, 2019. The rain fell in steady sheets against the windows of Moretti's Cafe, a small Italian coffee shop tucked between a laundromat and a bodega in Brooklyn. The kind of place where locals came for espresso that tasted like home, and conversation that felt like family. Lucia Moretti wiped down the counter for the third time that hour, her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun, eyes tired but sharp. At 28, she carried herself with the exhaustion of someone who'd lived twice that long. The cafe was nearly empty. Just old Mr. Benedetto in the corner, nursing his cappuccino and reading yesterday's newspaper like it contained state secrets. The bell above the door chimed, and Lucia looked up out of habit, already reaching for a menu. Then she stopped. The man who walked in didn't belong there. Everything about him screamed different. The tailored charcoal suit that probably cost more than her rent. The way he moved, like he owned not just the room, but the air inside it. Dark hair slicked back perfectly, sharp jawline, and eyes that assessed everything in a single sweep. He was probably in his early 30s and handsome in a way that felt dangerous, like a knife wrapped in expensive silk. "Buonasera," he said, his Italian accent subtle but unmistakable. He approached the counter with measured steps, and Lucia caught a glimpse of ink on his neck, partially hidden by his collar. A tattoo that disappeared beneath the crisp white shirt, unbuttoned just enough to suggest he didn't follow anyone's rules but his own. "Evening," Lucia replied in English, deliberately casual. "What can I get you?" His lips curved slightly, not quite a smile. "Espresso. Doppio." She turned to the machine, aware of his gaze following her movements. The coffee hissed and dripped, filling the silence between them. When she set the cup before him, their eyes met, and she felt something shift in the air. Recognition, maybe. Not of faces, but of types. She knew men like him, men who thought money bought everything. "You speak Italian," he observed, still standing. "My parents were from Naples. The language stuck. The optimism didn't." She crossed her arms. "That'll be $4.50. He pulled out a money clip, thick with hundreds, and placed a 50 on the counter. "Keep the change." "I don't take tips that big. Creates expectations." She counted out his change precisely and pushed it across the marble. This time he did smile. A real one, and it transformed his face from intimidating to devastating. Interesting. Most people would take the money. Most people aren't me. Lucia returned to wiping the counter, dismissing him. He didn't leave. Instead, he sat at the bar, sipping his espresso with the appreciation of someone who knew good coffee. The rain continued its assault on the windows. Mr. Benedetto turned a page, and Lucia felt the weight of this stranger's attention like a physical thing. "I need a translator," he said finally. "Someone who knows old Neapolitan dialect. Business documents. I was told you might be available." Lucia's hand stilled on the counter. Her freelance translation work paid the bills her cafe wages couldn't. But she was careful about her clients. Very careful. "Who told you about me?" "A mutual acquaintance. He said you're discreet." "Discreet is expensive." "Money isn't a problem." He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. Inside was a document, yellowed with age, covered in cramped handwriting, and a stack of $100 bills. $2,000 for the translation, another $1,000 if you can do it by Friday. Lucia picked up the document, scanning the first few lines. Property transfers. Family names she recognized from the old neighborhood. The kind of paperwork that either settled estates or started wars. She looked at the man again. Really looked this time. The expensive watch glinting on his wrist. The gold chain just visible at his collar. The way his jacket hung perfectly, despite what she now suspected was a weapon underneath. "What kind of business are you in, mister?" "Caruso. Adrian Caruso." He held her gaze steadily, Import and export, right. And I'm the Queen of England. She pushed the envelope back across the counter. I don't work for criminals. I haven't been convicted of anything. His tone remained pleasant, but something harder entered his eyes. And you haven't heard my offer yet. I've heard enough. Take your money and your old documents and find someone else. Adrian Caruso didn't move. He finished his espresso, set the cup down with deliberate precision, and stood. For a moment, Lucia thought he'd leave. Then he leaned forward slightly, close enough that she could smell his cologne, expensive and subtle. You're right to be cautious, Miss Moretti. It's smart. But let me be clear about something. His voice dropped, not threatening, but absolutely certain. I came here because you're the best, and because someone told me you need money for your mother's medical bills, the kind of money that doesn't come from pouring coffee. Lucia's blood went cold, then hot. Who the hell do you think you are? Someone who pays very well for services rendered. Nothing illegal in a translation, is there? He straightened, adjusting his cufflinks. Think about it. You know where to find me. He left the envelope on the counter, including the $3,000, and walked out into the rain without another word. The bell chimed. Mr. Benedetto turned another page, and Lucia stood there, staring at more money than she'd make in 2 months, hating that he was right about everything. Her mother's hospice bills were crushing her. The experimental treatment the doctors mentioned cost more than she'd make in a year of double shifts. Every door she'd knocked on for help had closed in her face. And now this man, this obviously dangerous man, was offering her a way out. She picked up the envelope, feeling the weight of it, the weight of choice, of compromise, of all the lines she'd sworn she'd never cross. The document was still there, waiting, just words on paper, just history written in the hand of people long dead. What harm could it do to translate it? But Lucia Moretti hadn't survived this long by being naive. She knew that first steps led to paths, and paths led to places you couldn't walk back from. Men like Adrian Caruso didn't just need translators. They needed people they could trust, people they could use, people who owed them. She looked at the rain-streaked window, at her own reflection ghosted in the glass. 28 years old, and so tired she could barely remember what hope felt like. When had she become this person? When had survival become her only ambition? The bell chimed again. She looked up, half expecting Caruso to have returned. Instead, it was just Maria from down the street, shaking off her umbrella and calling for her usual latte. Lucia pocketed the envelope and got back to work, pushing the decision down deep where all her other compromises lived. But that night, alone in her studio apartment with the sound of sirens drifting through thin walls, she pulled out the document and began to translate. Just to see, just to understand what she was getting into. The words told a story of blood and land, of families whose names still echoed in Brooklyn's streets, of debts passed down through generations. And somewhere in those cramped lines of old Italian, Lucia Moretti made her choice. She'd translate the document, take the money, and walk away clean. At least, that's what she told herself. Friday came too fast and too slow. Lucia had spent 3 nights hunched over the document, cross-referencing dialects and historical records, making sure every word was precise. She prided herself on accuracy. If she was going to do this, she'd do it right. The translation sat in a sealed envelope on her kitchen table, next to the coffee that had gone cold hours ago. She didn't have Adrian Caruso's phone number. He hadn't left one. But somehow she knew he'd come back. Men like him always did when they wanted something. He walked into Moretti's cafe at exactly 2:30, the same time as before. This time he wore a navy suit, slightly more casual, with a black shirt underneath. Still no tie. Still that unbuttoned collar that drew her eye to the ink on his skin. She caught a better glimpse this time. What looked like script in Italian, though she couldn't make out the words. Miss Moretti. He approached the counter with that same controlled grace. Do you have something for me? She pulled the envelope from her bag and slid it across. Complete translation, historical context notes, property genealogy traced through 3 generations. You're welcome. He opened it right there, scanning her work with an intensity that suggested he could actually read what she'd written. After a long moment, he nodded. Impressive. Very thorough. That's what you paid for. She crossed her arms. We're done now, right? That depends. He pulled out another envelope, this one thicker. I have 3 more documents, same rate. Double if you can finish by Wednesday. No. You haven't heard what they're about. I don't care what they're about. I did you a favor. One time, we're square. But even as she said it, her eyes tracked to the envelope. $6,000. Her mother's next treatment. Another month of stability. Adrian set the envelope down between them like a chess piece. You know what I find interesting, Miss Moretti? Most people pretend they're not interested in money. They dance around it, act like it's dirty to need it. But you're honest. I respect that. I'm not interested in your respect. Then what are you interested in? He leaned against the counter, genuinely curious. Because I've been watching you. You work here, 50 hours a week? Then you go to your other job at the library. Then home to translate documents for other clients until 2 in the morning. You're exhausted. When's the last time you did something for yourself? When's the last time you minded your own business? His laugh was unexpected, rich and genuine. Fair point, but here's mine. You're going to burn out. And when you do, what happens to your mother? What happens to all these people you're trying to take care of? Don't. Lucia's voice went hard. Don't you dare use her to manipulate me. I'm not manipulating. I'm offering you a solution. He pushed the envelope closer. 3 documents, simple translations, nothing illegal, just old paperwork that needs proper interpretation. You get paid well. I get accurate information. Everyone wins. Except I end up working for the mob. Import-export, remember. But his smile acknowledged the truth they both knew. Look, I'm not asking you to do anything wrong. I need a translator I can trust. Someone smart. Someone who won't sell information to the highest bidder. Someone with motivation to be discreet. You mean someone you can leverage. I mean someone who understands mutual benefit. He straightened. Think about it over the weekend. I'll be back Monday. If you're interested, we'll talk terms. If not, we part as friendly acquaintances who once shared good espresso. He left without ordering anything. The envelope remained on the counter, tempting and terrible. Lucia didn't touch it for a full minute. Then she picked it up, felt the weight of it, and made a decision she'd probably regret. That weekend, she visited her mother at the hospice facility in Queens. Rosa Moretti was 65 but looked 80, her body eaten away by the cancer that wouldn't quit. The good days were rare now, the lucid moments even rarer. But when Lucia walked in, her mother's eyes cleared a little. Tesoro, Rosa whispered, her voice paper-thin. You look tired. I'm always tired, Mama. Lucia sat beside the bed, taking her mother's hand. The skin was so thin now, transparent almost. How are you feeling? Like I'm ready. Rosa smiled softly. But you're not. You're still fighting. Of course I'm fighting. That's what we do. Morettis don't quit. Sometimes quitting is the bravest thing. Her mother's grip tightened slightly. I don't want you sacrificing your life for a few more months of mine. Don't talk like that. Lucia, listen to me. You're 28 years old. You should be falling in love, building a life, not working yourself to death for an old woman who's already lived hers. You're not old, and you're not dying. Not yet. But the words felt hollow. They both knew the truth. The experimental treatment was a long shot. A very expensive long shot that probably wouldn't work. "Promise me something," Rosa said. "Promise me you'll live. Really live, not just survive." Lucia couldn't answer. She just held her mother's hand and fought back tears that wouldn't help anyone. Monday came with rain again, as if God was setting the mood. Adrian Caruso walked into the cafe at 2:30, like clockwork. This time, Lucia was ready. "I'll do the translations," she said before he could speak. "But I have conditions." "I'm listening." "First, I want everything in writing. Legitimate contracts for translation services. I pay my taxes and I'm not going to jail for you." "Agreed." "Second, I don't want to know what you're doing with the information. Don't tell me. Don't involve me. I translate. You pay. That's the extent of our relationship." "Reasonable." "Third, if I ever feel unsafe or compromised, I walk. No questions, no consequences. You leave me alone." Adrian considered this, his dark eyes unreadable. "The first two are easy. The third is more complicated. If you work for me, you'll know things, sensitive things. I can't just let you walk away with that knowledge. Then we have a problem. Or we have a solution." He pulled out his phone, typed something, and showed her the screen. A contract, already drafted, with terms that were surprisingly fair. "This includes a generous severance clause. If you want to leave, you give me 2 weeks' notice. You sign a non-disclosure agreement, and you walk away with 6 months' salary as a parting gift. Enough to ensure your silence doesn't need to be bought with threats." Lucia read through the contract carefully. It was more than fair. It was almost too fair. "Why are you being so reasonable?" "Because I don't want employees who are afraid of me. I want people who choose to work with me. Fear makes people stupid. Loyalty makes them valuable." He pocketed his phone. "Besides, Miss Moretti, you're not someone who scares easily. I saw that the first day. Threatening you would be a waste of both our time." She should have walked away. Every instinct screamed at her to refuse. But $6,000 sat on the table. Her mother's face floated in her memory, and Lucia Moretti made another compromise with herself. "I want the first payment up front. All $6,000. Done." He pulled out another envelope, this one with a cashier's check. "The documents are in here too. Wednesday deadline still stands. Can you manage that?" "I don't miss deadlines." "Good." He stood buttoning his jacket. "I'll be in touch about the next project. And Miss Moretti, thank you. I know this isn't an easy choice." "Don't thank me. Just pay me on time." He smiled that devastating smile again. "You know what? I think we're going to work very well together." After he left, Lucia sat in the empty cafe, holding the check and wondering what exactly she'd just agreed to. She'd told herself it was just translation work, just words on paper. But she knew better. She just stepped into Adrian Caruso's world, and worlds like his didn't let people leave easily, no matter what the contract said. The weeks blurred together after that. Adrian became a regular at the cafe, always arriving at the same time, always with new documents that needed translation. Property deeds, shipping manifests, letters written in dialects that hadn't been spoken in 50 years. Each job paid well. Each one pulled Lucia a little deeper into his world. They developed a rhythm. He'd come in, order espresso, leave the documents. She'd translate them at night, leave them in a sealed envelope behind the counter. He'd pick them up the next day and leave payment. Efficient, professional, impersonal, except it wasn't impersonal. Not really. "You know," Adrian said one afternoon in late October, lingering longer than usual, "I've been coming here for 6 weeks and I still don't know anything about you. That's the point. We're not friends, Mr. Caruso." "Adrian, and why can't we be friends?" "Because you're my employer, and because I'm not stupid enough to think friendship means the same thing to you as it does to normal people." He laughed. "Normal. That's a word I haven't been called in years. He sipped his espresso, watching her over the rim. But you're right. I'm not normal. Neither are you, though. Excuse me? You're 28, single, no social media presence, no friends I can find. You work constantly, never take days off, and from what I can tell, your entire life revolves around your job and your mother. He set down his cup. That's not normal either. That's someone hiding. Lucia's jaw tightened. You've been investigating me? I investigate everyone I work with. It's not personal. It feels pretty damn personal. Fair enough. He had the grace to look slightly apologetic. But I'm curious. What are you hiding from? None of your business. Maybe not, but I'll tell you something anyway. He leaned forward, elbows on the counter. You remind me of someone, my sister. She was like you. Tough, proud. Worked herself to death trying to prove she didn't need anyone. His voice softened, just a fraction. She died when I was 19. And you know what her last words to me were? She said she wished she'd let people help her. She wished she'd trusted someone. Lucia's anger deflated slightly. I'm sorry about your sister, but I'm not her, and I'm not looking for a savior. Good, because I'm not offering salvation. I'm offering partnership. He straightened. I have a job coming up, bigger than the others. I need someone I can trust completely. Someone who won't sell me out if things get complicated. I want it to be you. What kind of job? The kind that pays $50,000. The number hit her like cold water. 50,000. Her mother's treatment, 6 months of security, a chance to breathe. What do I have to do? Come to a meeting. Translate in real time. High-level negotiations with some associates from Sicily. 3 hours, maybe 4. Then you walk away and never speak of it again. That's it? Just translate? Just translate. You'll be completely safe. I give you my word. Lucia studied him carefully. 6 weeks of working together had taught her a few things. Adrian Caruso was dangerous, yes, but he was also oddly honorable in his own way. He'd never lied to her, never pushed her beyond what she'd agreed to. Always paid on time, often more than promised. The man was a criminal, but he had a code. When? Next Friday, evening. I'll send a car to pick you up. I want half up front. And I want it in writing that this is a one-time thing. No repeat performances. Done and done. He pulled out his phone, typed something and showed her. A contract addendum. $25,000 up front. The rest on completion. Clear termination of further obligations. Satisfied? I'll never be satisfied working for you, Adrian, but I'll do it. His smile was slow and warm. There. Was that so hard? Using my first name? Don't get used to it. He left 20 minutes later, and that evening a messenger arrived with a cashier's check for $25,000. Lucia stared at it for a long time before depositing it. Blood money. She knew that's what it was. But it was also her mother's next 6 months of treatment. Of life. The week passed in a haze of anxiety. Lucia tried to prepare, studying Sicilian dialects, reviewing business terminology, anything to feel more in control. The night before the meeting, she barely slept. Friday evening, a black Mercedes arrived precisely at 7. The driver was professional and silent, taking her through Brooklyn streets to a restaurant in Queens. Not a fancy place, but old, established. The kind of spot where families had been eating for generations, and nobody asked questions about the private room upstairs. Adrian met her at the door. He wore a 3-piece suit tonight, charcoal gray with a dark burgundy tie. His hair was perfect, his presence commanding. He looked every inch the boss. You look nervous, he observed. I am nervous. I'm about to be in a room with actual mobsters. Businessmen, he corrected with a slight smirk. But yes, nervous is smart. Just remember, you're my translator. You're under my protection. Nobody will touch you. That's supposed to make me feel better? It should, because it's true. He offered his arm. Come, let's get this over with. The room upstairs was thick with cigar smoke and tension. 5 men sat around a table, all older than Adrian, all watching her with varying degrees of suspicion and interest. She recognized power when she saw it. These weren't street soldiers. These were the real players. Gentlemen, Adrian said in Italian, smooth as silk. This is Miss Moretti, my translator. She's here to help us understand each other. Nothing more. The oldest man, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, responded in rapid Sicilian. Too fast, deliberately testing her. Lucia translated without missing a beat. He says he's surprised you need a translator, considering your family connections to Palermo. He wants to know if you've forgotten the old language. Adrian's eyebrow raised slightly, impressed. Tell him I haven't forgotten anything, but I believe in clarity, especially when discussing matters of this importance. The meeting lasted 3 hours. Lucia translated shipping routes and payment schedules, territory disputes and profit percentages. She learned more about Adrian's operation in one evening than 6 weeks of translating documents. The scope of it was staggering. He wasn't just some local boss. He ran networks across 3 states, with connections spanning the Atlantic. And through it all, he was magnificent. Commanding, but diplomatic. Firm, but fair. Watching him negotiate was like watching a master conductor leading an orchestra. Every word precise, every gesture calculated. He controlled the room without ever raising his voice. Once, when one of the men made an inappropriate comment about her in Sicilian, thinking she wouldn't understand the dialect, Adrian's response was cold and immediate. Speak of her that way again and this meeting is over. Capiche? The man's face went pale. He nodded. Nobody said another word out of line. When it finally ended, handshakes and wine sealed the deal. Adrian escorted Lucia out personally, his hand light on her lower back. Protective. In the car ride back to Brooklyn, she finally exhaled. That was intense. You did perfectly. Better than perfectly. They were impressed. He pulled out an envelope. Here, the rest of your payment, with a bonus for exceeding expectations. She opened it. 30,000. 5,000 more than promised. Adrian, this is too much. No, it's exactly right. You earned every penny. He met her eyes. And you were brilliant in there. The way you handled DeLuca when he tested you? Perfect. You didn't back down, didn't show fear. You earned their respect. Do you know how rare that is? I was just doing my job. You were doing much more than that. He hesitated, then added, I know I said this was one time, and I'll honor that. But if you ever change your mind about working with me again, the offer stands. I meant what I said. You're valuable, Lucia. The use of her first name sent a shiver through her. When had they crossed that line? Take me home, Adrian. I'm tired. Of course. But later that night, alone in her apartment with $55,000 sitting in her bank account, Lucia Moretti realized something terrifying. She'd enjoyed it. The danger, the intensity, the feeling of being part of something bigger than her small, grinding existence. And more than that, she'd enjoyed watching Adrian in his element, seeing the man behind the expensive suits. She was in trouble. The kind of trouble that didn't come with a contract or an exit clause. The next morning, Lucia woke to flowers on her doorstep. Not a bouquet from a florist. A single stem of white jasmine in a simple glass bottle. No card. No name. But she knew who they were from. She left them there for an hour, staring at them through her kitchen window like they might explode. Finally, she brought them inside. The jasmine scent filled her tiny apartment, sweet and overwhelming. Adrian came to the cafe that afternoon. Same time. Same espresso order. But something had shifted between them, and they both felt it. "Thank you for the flowers," Lucia said, keeping her voice neutral. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Adrian." "Lucia." He smiled, using her name deliberately. "They're just flowers, not a marriage proposal. Nothing's ever just anything with you." "True." He sipped his espresso. "But sometimes flowers are just flowers, a gesture of appreciation for a job well done." "Is that what that was? A job? What else would it be?" She didn't answer. Couldn't answer. Because acknowledging what else it might have been would open doors she'd sworn to keep locked. Instead, she went back to wiping the counter, that useless habit she'd developed to avoid difficult conversations. "I have a question," Adrian said after a long silence. "And you can tell me to go to hell if you want. But I'm curious. What made you take the job? The first one. I've been trying to figure it out. You know why. The money. That's the practical reason. But there was a moment, wasn't there? When you decided to say yes. What tipped the scale?" Lucia paused, considering whether to answer honestly. "You want the truth?" "Always. You said you'd looked into me, my mother. You came prepared. And instead of feeling violated, I felt seen. Nobody sees me, Adrian. I'm the invisible girl who works 2 jobs and goes home alone. But you saw me, saw what I needed, and you offered a solution without judgment." She met his eyes. "That's what tipped the scale, not the money. The fact that you treated me like a person worth understanding." Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, maybe, or recognition. "I do see you, Lucia, more than you know. That's what worries me." "Why?" "Because men like you don't see people like me unless they want something. And I'm not sure I can afford whatever it is you want." Adrian set down his cup carefully. "What if I just want to know you? What if it's really that simple? It's never simple with men like you. Men like me." He repeated it thoughtfully. "You keep saying that. But you don't actually know what kind of man I am. You know what I do for a living, but that's not the same thing." "Then tell me, what kind of man are you? The kind who keeps his promises, the kind who protects what's his, the kind who doesn't apologize for wanting things." He leaned forward slightly. "And right now, Lucia Moretti, I want to take you to dinner. Not business, just dinner. 2 people who enjoy each other's company sharing a meal." "No." "Why not?" "Because dinner leads to conversation. Conversation leads to connection. And connection is exactly what I can't afford with you." "What are you afraid of?" "I'm not afraid." "Liar." But he said it gently. "You're terrified. I just can't figure out if it's me you're scared of or yourself." Before she could respond, her phone rang. The hospital. Her mother's facility. Lucia's blood went cold as she answered, moving toward the back room. Adrian watched her face go pale, saw her shoulders tighten, and waited. When she came back 5 minutes later, she was shaking. "I have to go. My mother had a seizure. They're not sure if she's going to—" Her voice broke. "I have to go. I'll drive you." "No, I can take the subway." "Lucia." He was already standing, pulling out his phone. "My car's outside. Let me drive you. Please." She wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain her independence, her boundaries. But the thought of cramming onto a subway while her mother was dying was too much. She nodded. The drive to Queens took 40 minutes in traffic. Adrian said nothing, but his presence was steadying. When they arrived, he parked and started to get out. "You don't have to come in." "I know." He opened her door. "But I'm going to anyway." Rosa Moretti was conscious, but barely. The seizure had done damage. The doctors pulled Lucia aside, speaking in that careful, clinical way that meant bad news, Weeks, maybe. Days, possibly. The end was coming, and there was nothing more they could do. Lucia sat beside her mother's bed and held her hand, feeling it grow colder. Adrian stood by the door, silent and still, giving her space but not leaving. And somehow his presence helped, made the unbearable slightly more bearable. "Tesoro," Rosa whispered eventually, her eyes finding Lucia. "Who is that man?" "A friend, Mama. Just a friend. He looks at you the way your father looked at me, like you're the only person in the room." Rosa's smile was weak but genuine. "That's good. You should be looked at that way." "Mama, don't. I'm not going to be here much longer. Let me say what I need to say." She squeezed Lucia's hand with surprising strength. "Stop hiding. Stop being afraid. Live your life. Love someone. Let someone love you. Promise me." "Mama, promise me, Lucia." "I promise." The words came out broken, but they came. Rosa's eyes drifted to Adrian again. "Take care of my daughter. She's stubborn. She'll fight you. But take care of her anyway." Adrian stepped forward, his voice soft. "I give you my word, Signora Moretti." "Good." Rosa's eyes closed. "Good." They stayed for 3 more hours. Lucia talked to her mother, told her stories, held her hand. Adrian remained by the door, a quiet sentinel. When the nurses finally insisted Lucia needed rest, that she should go home and come back in the morning, she reluctantly agreed. In the car ride back to Brooklyn, she finally spoke. "Thank you for staying. You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did. Why?" "Because you needed someone." He glanced at her. "And because I meant what I said. I want to know you, Lucia. The real you, not just the woman who translates documents for me." "Adrian, I can't. Not now. My mother is dying and I can't think about anything else." "I know. I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking you to let me help. Let me be here. No expectations, no obligations. Just let me be here." Something in his voice broke through her defenses. The sincerity. The gentleness she didn't know he was capable of. "Okay. Okay. Okay." She looked at him, really looked, and saw past the expensive suits and dangerous reputation. Saw a man who'd lost his sister and understood grief. A man who kept his promises. A man who'd spent 3 hours standing in a hospital hallway because she needed someone, and he'd decided to be that someone. But Adrian? My mother was right. I am stubborn, and I will fight you. I know. His smile was soft. I'm counting on it. He drove her home, walked her to her door, and waited until she was safely inside before leaving. And as Lucia collapsed onto her couch, exhausted and emotionally raw, she realized something that should have terrified her, but somehow didn't. She was starting to trust Adrian Caruso, the mafia boss, the dangerous man, the one person she should have kept at arm's length. She was starting to trust him. And worse, she was starting to want him there. Rosa Moretti died 3 days later, quietly in her sleep. Lucia was holding her hand when it happened. Adrian was in the hallway, having shown up that morning with coffee and sat in silent vigil without being asked. The funeral was small. Lucia had no other family, few friends, but the church was full. Half of Brooklyn's Italian community came to pay respects to the woman who'd run the neighborhood cultural center for 20 years. And in the back row, somber in a black suit, sat Adrian Caruso and 4 of his men. Quiet, respectful, there because he'd asked them to be. At the cemetery, Lucia stood alone by the graveside after everyone else had left. The November wind cut through her thin coat, but she didn't move. Couldn't move. This was it. The last person who'd truly loved her, gone. She was alone now, completely alone. "You're going to catch pneumonia." Adrian's voice came from behind her. He draped his coat over her shoulders. It smelled like him, expensive cologne and something else, something safe. "I don't care." "I know. But she would have cared. Your mother would have wanted you to take care of yourself." "My mother wanted a lot of things. Most of them I can't give her now." "Then give her the one thing you can. Keep living. Keep fighting." "That's what she asked you to do, wasn't it?" Lucia turned to look at him. "Why are you here, Adrian? Really? Don't tell me it's about business or translation work. Why do you keep showing up?" "Because I can't stay away." The honesty in his voice was startling. "I tried. After that first day in the cafe, I told myself I'd find another translator, someone less complicated, someone who didn't look at me like I was both the answer and the problem. But I kept coming back. For the espresso at first, I told myself. Then for the work. But really, I came back for you. That's not fair. I know. Nothing about this is fair. You didn't ask to meet me. Didn't ask to be pulled into my world. But here we are, Lucia. And I'm done pretending I don't feel what I feel. And what do you feel? Interested, fascinated, protective, possessive in ways I probably shouldn't be." He stepped closer. "You said money buys your time, but not your heart. You're right, but I don't want to buy anything from you. I want you to give it to me. Freely. Because you want to. I don't even know if I have a heart left to give. Everything I had went into taking care of her. Then let me help you find it again." He touched her face, gentle despite the calluses on his hands. "Let me in, Lucia. Stop fighting alone. Let someone fight with you for once. And if you hurt me, men in your line of work don't exactly have a reputation for happily ever after. No, we don't." He didn't deny it, didn't make false promises. "But I've never lied to you, not once. So I won't start now. Yes, my life is dangerous. Yes, there are risks. But I will protect you with everything I have. I will keep you safe, and I will never, never betray you." Lucia wanted to resist, wanted to maintain the walls she'd built so carefully. But she was tired, so tired of being alone, of carrying everything herself. And Adrian was offering something she'd never had. Partnership, protection, someone who saw all of her, including the broken parts, and wanted to stay anyway. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know. Be scared, but be scared with me." He pulled her close, and for the first time in weeks, months, years, Lucia let herself be held, let herself lean on someone else, let herself be weak. They stood there in the cemetery as the sun set, two damaged people finding something like comfort in each other. And when Adrian finally drove her home, Lucia didn't protest when he came inside, didn't object when he made tea and sat with her on the couch, didn't fight when he stayed through the night, holding her while she cried for everything she'd lost. The next morning, she woke to sunlight streaming through her window and Adrian's arm around her waist. They'd fallen asleep on the couch, fully clothed, tangled together. It should have felt wrong, premature, a mistake, but it felt right in ways she couldn't explain. "Morning," he murmured, voice rough with sleep. "Morning." She didn't move, didn't want to break the moment. "Adrian, what are we doing?" "Honestly, I have no idea, but I'd like to keep doing it anyway." "That's not much of a plan." "I know, but I'm willing to figure it out as we go, if you are." Lucia thought about her mother's last words. Live, love, let someone in. She thought about the months of translation work, of watching Adrian reveal himself piece by piece. The honor beneath the criminality, the gentleness beneath the danger, the man beneath the reputation. "I told you I'd fight you. she said. I remember. I'm going to keep my promise. I won't make this easy. I wouldn't want you to. He pressed a kiss to her temple. Easy is boring. You, Lucia Moretti, are anything but boring. And you, Adrian Caruso, are absolutely insane for wanting this. For wanting me. Probably. But I've never been accused of sanity. He sat up, pulling her with him. Come on, let's get you some real food. Then we need to talk about security. Security? You're with me now. That means people might try to use you to get to me. I need to make sure you're protected. The reality of what she was stepping into hit her. This wasn't just a relationship. It was entering a whole new world. One with bodyguards and enemies and dangers she couldn't fully imagine. Second thoughts? Adrian asked, reading her expression. About a dozen, but I'm doing it anyway. Why? Because for the first time in my life, I'm choosing something I want instead of something I need. My mother would approve of that. She stood, pulling him up with her. But Adrian, if you ever lie to me, if you ever betray my trust, I will disappear so thoroughly you'll never find me. Understood? Understood. He pulled her close, his hands on her waist. And Lucia, if anyone ever threatens you, tries to hurt you, even looks at you wrong, I will end them. That's not a threat. It's a promise. You're mine now, and I protect what's mine. The possessiveness should have bothered her, but coming from Adrian, it felt like safety, like home, like something she'd been missing without knowing it. I'm not yours yet, she said. You haven't earned that. Then I'll spend every day earning it. He kissed her forehead. Starting now, breakfast, food, then we figure out the rest. The weeks after the funeral were strange and beautiful and terrifying all at once. Adrian kept his promise. He showed up every day, not demanding, not pushing, just there, present, steady. He'd arrive at the cafe with coffee, sit and work on his laptop while she finished her shift, then drive her home. Sometimes they'd have dinner. Sometimes they'd just sit in comfortable silence. Sometimes they'd talk for hours about everything and nothing. Lucia learned things about him. How he'd taken over his father's organization at 21, too young and too idealistic. How he'd made mistakes that cost lives and carried those ghosts with him. How he'd built a reputation for being fair but ruthless, generous to his people but merciless to his enemies. How he'd never imagined meeting someone who made him want something beyond power and respect. What do you want? She asked one night in December, snowflakes drifting past her window. If you could have anything, not money or territory, something real. Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Peace. The kind where you stop looking over your shoulder. Where you trust that when you close your eyes, you'll wake up to something good. He looked at her. You make me feel like that might be possible. I'm one woman, Adrian. I can't fix your whole life. I don't need you to fix anything. I just need you to stay. His hand found hers. Just stay, Lucia. That's all I'm asking. She was starting to believe she could. That maybe this dangerous, impossible thing between them had a chance. That maybe her mother had been right about living and loving and letting someone in. Then everything fell apart. It started with a phone call. Adrian's expression went dark as he listened, his whole body tensing. When he hung up, he was already moving, grabbing his jacket, his gun. What's wrong? Someone leaked information about Friday's shipment. They knew details only 3 people should have known. His eyes found hers, and for the first time since she'd met him, she saw fear there. Lucia, did you tell anyone about what you translated last week? The question hit like a slap. What? No, of course not. Are you sure? Think carefully. Anyone at all. Adrian, I signed a non-disclosure agreement. I don't talk about your business. Ever. Hurt bloomed in her chest. You think I betrayed you? I don't want to think that, but the leak happened right after you translated those documents. And you're the only outsider who saw them. I'm not an outsider. I thought I was... She stopped. What was she to him? His girlfriend? His employee? Something undefined that apparently didn't include trust. You know what? Get out. Lucia, get out. You stand here in my apartment and accuse me of betraying you? After everything? After you promised you'd never lie to me, that you'd protect me? Her voice broke. Turns out you're just like every other man who tried to buy my time and thought that made me his. Well, you were wrong, Mr. Caruso. You don't own me. You never did. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Because it sounded a lot like you were calling me a rat. I'm trying to protect you. If someone's setting you up, if they're using you to get to me, you're in danger. I need to know the truth so I can keep you safe. The truth? The truth is I've done nothing but be loyal to you. Translated your documents, kept your secrets, let you into my life when every instinct told me not to. And the first time something goes wrong, you assume it's me. She crossed to the door, opened it. We're done. Whatever this was, it's over. Leave. Lucia, please. Now, Adrian, before I call the police and tell them everything I know about your organization. His expression hardened. The vulnerability disappeared, replaced by the cold mafia boss she'd seen that first day. Don't make threats you can't follow through on. Try me. They stared at each other across her tiny apartment, the distance between them suddenly vast. Then Adrian walked out without another word, and Lucia slammed the door behind him, sliding down to the floor as sobs overtook her. She'd been right. She'd been right to keep her walls up, to not trust, to protect herself. Because this was what happened when you let someone in. They broke you. The next 3 days were hell. Lucia threw herself into work, taking every shift she could get, translating until her eyes burned. She didn't sleep well, didn't eat much, just moved through the motions, numb and angry and heartbroken in ways she hadn't expected. Then, on the 4th day, 2 men showed up at the cafe. Strangers. Wrong in ways she couldn't articulate but felt in her bones. They sat in the corner, watching her. When she tried to call Adrian, her hands shaking, he didn't answer. She tried 3 more times. Nothing. The men followed her when she left work, followed her onto the subway, through the streets of Brooklyn, right to her apartment building. Lucia's heart hammered as she fumbled with her keys, finally getting inside and slamming the door. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Miss Moretti. We haven't met, but I know a lot about you. About your work with Adrian Caruso. About the documents you've translated. The voice was smooth, educated, dangerous. I have a proposition. You give me copies of everything you've translated for Caruso, and I let you walk away from this. You refuse, and those 2 men outside your door come in. I don't know who you are, but my name is Marco DeLuca. I was at that meeting you translated, and I've been very interested in you since then. Such a pretty little thing, caught up in our world. It would be a shame if something happened to you because of Caruso's carelessness. Adrian warned me about men like you. Did he? And where is Adrian now, Miss Moretti? When you need him, where is he? DeLuca laughed. He's not coming. He thinks you betrayed him. Why would he save you? Lucia's mind raced. The leak, the accusation. This had been a setup. DeLuca had engineered it all, turning Adrian against her so she'd be vulnerable. Isolated. I won't help you. Then you'll die. Simple as that. You have 10 minutes to decide. The line went dead. Lucia looked around her apartment, searching for anything she could use as a weapon. Found nothing useful. Her windows faced a brick wall. No escape that way. The men were outside her door. She was trapped. She tried Adrian one more time. It rang. Went to voicemail. Adrian, I know you don't trust me. I know you think I betrayed you. But I didn't. It was DeLuca. He set me up. And now he's here, and I'm trapped. And I don't know what to do. Her voice broke. I just wanted you to know that I meant everything I said. About us. About staying. I meant it all. She hung up, grabbed a kitchen knife, and positioned herself by the door. If they were coming in, she'd fight. Even if it was hopeless, she'd fight. The minutes ticked by. 5, 7, 9. At exactly 10 minutes, her doorknob turned. Locked, thank God. Then came the sound of something being inserted into the lock. Professional. Efficient. They were picking it. Lucia raised the knife, hands trembling. The door burst open. But it wasn't DeLuca's men who came through. It was Adrian, flanked by 4 of his people, all armed, all lethal. His eyes found hers across the room, and the relief in his expression was staggering. Lucia. He was across the room in 3 strides, pulling her into his arms, the knife clattering from her hand. Christo, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have trusted you. I should have known. Adrian, DeLuca confessed. We made him confess. He's been trying to undermine me for months. He used you to drive a wedge between us, hoping I'd push you away so you'd be vulnerable. His hands cupped her face. I almost let him win. I almost lost you because I was afraid. Because trusting people has gotten me hurt before. But I should have trusted you. I know who you are. I know you'd never betray me. The men outside, gone. My people handled it. You're safe, I promise. You're safe. Lucia sagged against him, adrenaline draining away and leaving her shaking. I thought you weren't coming. I will always come for you. Always. No matter what. Even if you hate me, even if you never want to see me again, I will keep you safe. That's my promise. He pulled back, looking at her seriously. But I need you to understand something. This is my world. This danger, these threats, they'll always be there. If you stay with me, this won't be the last time someone tries to use you against me. I can protect you. I will protect you with my life. But I can't make the risk disappear entirely. I know. And you're still willing to try? After everything? Lucia thought about her mother's words. About living. About loving. About taking chances on things that mattered. Do you remember what you said? That you wanted to buy every second I had? I remember. I told you money couldn't buy my heart, and it can't. But you, Adrian Caruso, you didn't buy anything. You earned it, slowly, one day at a time. One coffee, one translation, one moment of honesty. You earned it all. His smile was brilliant and rare, transforming his face. Does that mean what I think it means? It means I'm yours. Not because you bought me, not because I owe you, but because I choose it. I choose you, even with the danger, even with the complications. I choose this. She kissed him, pouring everything she felt into it. So yes, Adrian, you can have every second, every moment, all of it, but not because you paid for it, because I'm giving it to you. Amore mio, he whispered against her lips. You have no idea how long I've waited to hear you say that. Then don't make me regret it. No more doubting me. No more accusations. We trust each other, or this doesn't work. Complete trust, I swear it. He kissed her again, deeper this time. And in return, I give you everything I am, all of it, the good, the bad, the dangerous. It's all yours. Standing in her tiny apartment, Surrounded by armed guards in the aftermath of violence, Lucia Moretti realized something important. She'd spent her whole life surviving, working, fighting, just trying to make it through each day. But with Adrian, she wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living. Really living. And it was terrifying and exhilarating, and exactly what she needed. "Take me home," she said. "This is your home." "No, your home. I want to see where you live, where we'll live." She smiled at his surprised expression. "What? You said you wanted me to stay. I'm staying. Might as well make it official." Adrian's laugh was pure joy. "You're absolutely certain? Because once I get you there, Amore, I'm never letting you leave." "Good. Because I'm done running. Done hiding. Done being alone." She took his hand. "Let's go home, Adrian. Both of us. Together." And as they walked out of her apartment into the cold December night, Lucia knew her mother would approve. She'd chosen love over fear, partnership over isolation, life over mere survival. The mafia boss who'd walked into her cafe had offered to buy her time. But in the end, time wasn't what he'd won. He'd won her heart, not through money or power or intimidation, but through patience, protection, and the simple act of showing up. Every single day, until she believed in something she'd thought impossible, that someone could see all of her, all the broken and beautiful pieces, and choose to stay anyway, choose to love her anyway. And that love, freely given, was worth more than any amount of money in the world.